Hello students, today we are going to start a new chapter, semiconductors, which is a very special category of metals, a type of metals which partially conduct electricity. On the basis of the electrical conductivity, we divide the metals into semiconductors and conductors. And the third category, which is insulators, is totally different, that it has high resistivity and it has very low conductivity. So on the basis of electrical conductivity, we divide the metals into metals and semiconductors and insulators. Metals are those which has a very low resistivity. That means it has very high conductivity. They conduct electricity at a very good level. Some values are given here for conductivity and the resistivity. And then there are insulators. First of all, we will discuss insulators. In insulators, they have very high resistivity. They give high resistance to the electrical conductivity. They do not allow electricity to conduct through it. They are insulators. The average values of conductivity and resistivity are given here. And the third category which are going to study in this chapter is semiconductors. Semiconductors is very special category because many of the devices are made from these semiconductors like silicon and germanium. The special thing about semiconductors is that they have resistivity or conductivity intermediate to metals and insulators. They have the conductivity in between the metals and insulators. The average values of resistivity and conductivity are given here. And now, what type of semiconductors are here? There are elemental semiconductors which are made from only single element like silicon and germanium. Silicon and germanium are very common semiconductors, and these two types of semiconductors, we describe all the properties and all the values of these semiconductors in this chapter throughout. Then there are compound semiconductors which are made from two or more elements like CDS, gallium arsenide, selenium, indium, phosphorus, etc. And then there are organic semiconductors. In organic semiconductors, we find anthracene, doped polyphthalocyanines, etc. These are organic semiconductors we found in nature. There are organic polymers also, polypyrrole, polyaniline, polythiophene, etc. These are the organic semiconductors, organic polymers which behave as semiconductors. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss two types of semiconductors which are made from silicon and germanium. They are elemental semiconductors, which are very basic semiconductors. We are going to study all about this type of semiconductors in this chapter. Now comes a very important topic, which is the energy bands. The energy bands, the concept of energy bands is very typical, but it is very well explained in this NCERT that according to the Bohr atomic model, in an isolated atom, the energy of any of its electrons is decided by the orbit in which it revolves. We know that the electron has a definite energy of the orbit. In the orbit which it is revolving, it has a definite energy. In an atom, isolated atom, we are talking about isolated atom, and when it combines to form a metal or a solid or a crystal, then the electrons make the energy bands, and the situation becomes different, that they do not revolve in a particular orbit. Now they little bit deviate from their orbits. Now, why some elements are metals and some are semiconductors and some are insulators? We will try to understand on the basis of the theory of energy bands. And it is very well written here. It's very complicated topic, and it's very well written here. If you want to see from here, you can learn from here that how the energy bands are formed. According to the Bohr atomic model, in an isolated atom, the energy of any of its electron is decided by the orbit in which it revolves. In an isolated atom, mind it, we are talking about a particular isolated atom. The energy of the electron is decided by the orbit. Uh, the electron revolves in an orbit, we all know, and it has a particular energy. In different energy levels in a particular in various orbits, we know that in an isolated atom, various electrons revolves around an in a orbit in a particular energy level. But when the atoms come together to form a solid or a crystal, when they combine, when the several atoms of an element combine, they form a solid. They are close to each other, they come closer to each other. So the outer orbits of the electrons, valence electrons of neighboring atoms, the neighboring atoms which are combining together, would come very close or could even overlap. Their orbits overlap to each other. This would make the nature of the electron motion in a solid very different from that in an isolated atom. The motion of the electron becomes different. Now there are the forces which are applying on the electrons from two neighboring atoms. Now the motion of the electron becomes different in a particular solid from that in an isolated atom. Inside the crystal, each electron has a unique position. And we are talking about a crystal now. In a solid, each electron has a unique position, and because of this, each electron have a different energy level. Each and every electron have a different energy level. These different energy levels with continuous energy variation are called energy bands. Like if we are talking about the valence electrons, they have now they do not have a particular energy state. When in the formation of a crystal, their energy and due to their overlapping, they have the different energy level and different energy levels, but they have a little bit difference in their energy levels. So we can say that they have a valence band of energy level. That valence electrons have the energy in that particular zone or in that particular space. So a large number of closely spaced energy levels group is called energy band. So this type of energy bands in which those electrons which have similar energy levels, they are placed in the particular band. Now on the basis of these energy bands, formation of these energy bands, there is a formation of a valence band and a conduction band, and there is a forbidden energy gap in between them. So the valence band, the energy band which includes the energy levels of the valence electrons, is called valence band. All the valence electrons comes under the category of valence band or resides in the valence band. This energy level of the valence band, the valence electrons resides in this particular energy level. And when we are talking about electricity, electricity is the flow of charges actually, and it is the flow of electrons and flow of valence electrons. Particularly we are talking about when the valence electrons becomes free and they are free to move, they conduct electricity in opposite direction. So these valence electrons are responsible for conducting electricity, and from that point of view, this valence band becomes very important for our studies. The next band which is formed is conduction band. Conduction band, when valence electrons, when we provide energy to these valence electrons, they get some energy and they get excited to move to this energy level of the conduction band. The energy which conduction band is having, they reach up to this energy level and they come to the conduction band. And after coming to this conduction band, now they are free to move, they are free to conduct electricity. As it is written here, the energy band, which includes the energy levels of the conduction electrons, is called conduction band or free band. This band resides over the valence band. Normally the conduction band is empty. Normally the conduction band is empty, but when we provide some energy to the electrons in the valence band, they get energy and they move to the conduction band where they are free to conduct electricity. And then there is a very important topic, energy band gap or forbidden band gap, which is called as EG. The gap between the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band is called energy band gap or forbidden band gap. There is a how much energy you have to require to give the give to the electrons in the valence band to make them move to the conduction band. That is called the energy band gap, forbidden band gap. And this is very important because this much amount of energy you have to give to the electron in the valence band so that it will move to the conduction band and then it will conduct electricity. And mind it, this forbidden band gap or energy band gap you have to study in the graphs, which will decide that which is a metal and which is a semiconductor and which will behave as an insulator. Now this this thing is described in this particular paragraph, that how the formation of energy bands are there and how we will describe valence band, conduction band and forbidden energy band gap. You go through this and you will come to know all about it. As it is written here that there are different energy levels and they come to a particular energy level and they form the valence band, the conduction band, and this is a gap. This is a gap between the valence band and the conduction band. This much amount of energy is required by the electron to move from the valence band to the conduction band so that now it will conduct electricity. Now it is written as it is described here in this graph, that this is called as valence band and it is denoted by EV. The energy of the valence band is denoted by EV. The electrons reside here, the valence electrons reside here, which are responsible for conducting the electricity. Now this is the EG, this is the forbidden energy gap, which the electron will require to jump from valence band to conduction band. So this much amount of energy is required by the electrons. And now this band which you are looking here is the conduction band. This is called as EC, denoted by EC. So if this element is to conduct electricity, then electrons have to jump from here to here. They have to go in the conduction band so that they become free and they conduct electricity. So on the basis of this thing, valence band, conduction band and the forbidden energy gap, the metals are divided into metals, insulators and semiconductors. Now it is a general thing written here that this is a valence band and this is a conduction band and this is a forbidden energy gap here. Now this is the situation of metals. This is the situation of metals, that the valence band and the conduction band, you are seeing that the topmost level of the valence band is coming here and the bottommost level of the conduction band is coming here. That means they are valence band and the conduction band are just overlapping each other. So the energy gap is nearly equal to 0. There is no energy gap. If you give a small amount of energy, the electrons will very easily move to the conduction band and they will conduct electricity. So this is the situation of the metals. So you can write on the basis of the energy bands that the valence band and the conduction band just overlap each other. Now this graph, you look at this graph, this is the situation of the insulators. In the case of insulators, this is the valence band and there is you are seeing here that there is a very huge gap between conduction band and the valence band. It's very difficult for the electrons to jump from this position to this position. So that is the reason why in insulators it's very difficult for the electrons to conduct electricity, and they do not conduct electricity. The energy gap is nearly it is written also here, it is the measurement is also written here, that energy gap is greater than 3 electron volt, which is very much higher for electron to achieve this energy level. So insulators do not conduct electricity due to this reason. You can give this reason. And now our chapter, the chapter which is based on semiconductors, the situation of semiconductors is this. The valence band is here and the conduction band is here, and this energy gap is a bit smaller. It is less than 3 electron volt. There is a gap, like if you are seeing in metals, they are just overlapping. It is very easy for the electrons to go to the conduction band. But in semiconductors, there is a gap, there is a reasonable gap between a valence band and a conduction band, but it is not that much higher like that in the case of insulator. So we get the mid position between the metals and the insulators, a midway gap between the valence band and the conduction band, which is less than 3 electron volt. Now it becomes when we provide a little bit of a small amount of energy to the electrons, it's very easy for the electrons to jump from the valence band to the conduction band. Not very easy, but it is easy for they can go from valence band to the conduction band, and they can conduct electricity. If you want, we make the semiconductors conduct electricity for us. So on the basis of valence band theory, we have discussed these graphs, and these graphs are very important on the basis to differentiate between the metals, insulators and the semiconductors. So this is the starting of the chapter in which you have the basic idea of the semiconductors, how the semiconductors are actually behaving on the basis of conduction of the electricity, how they conduct electricity. It's all written here that as I have described, that it is in insulator, it is the energy gap is greater than 3 electron volt, and its electric conduction is not possible in the case of insulators. And the case 3, which is the case of semiconductors, energy gap is less than 3 electron volt, and it is easy for the electrons. Electrons can conduct electricity.